Hi, my name is Wendy Wesley. I'm a registered and licensed dietitian nutritionist. I'm here in my kitchen in St. Pete, Florida. And in my last video, I made a 50-50 quinoa and rice mixture, and it's cooked. It's done. I want to grab it from the stove and show it to you how nice it looks. 20 minutes on the stove, 50% rice, regular short grain, white rice, store brand, nothing fancy, and then quinoa. So half cup of the quinoa, half cup of the rice in 2 cups of water and 20 minutes, and they both come out perfect. And so this will be the base of a bowl. The reason I'm doing this 50-50 mixture is I'm just getting a lot of pushback from people who are trying to feed families. And maybe the family is used to rice, and the family says, yeah, don't give me a quinoa, mom or dad or grandma or whoever, grandpa. I'm just used to rice and I'm not willing to try something else. So what if we kind of enter the shallow end of quinoa, and what if we mixed it with rice and we did a 50-50 mixture? So this is going to be great. I can use this in a taco. I can mix this with some beans and onions and peppers. Makes a fantastic taco filling. I can use it as the base of a restaurant style bowl, the ones you pay $25 for in a restaurant. This is just the beginning of an incredibly nutrient dense grain bowl with a bunch of vegetables, maybe some meats, maybe some beans. So give this a try. And I'm going to set this aside, and right now I'm going to show you how I sharpen knives. Let me set this aside. Okay, so you probably, if you bought a knife set, you probably received this, and you may or may not know what to do with. This is called a steel, a sharpening steel. And it will make your knife a better instrument, but its job is not really to sharpen. Its job is to hone the knife, which what that means is it makes it a more precise instrument. So when I run this on the sharpening steel, what I'm doing is I'm actually bringing my blade more to center. And this is something that I try and do, not perfect, but not try and do before I use my knives. Every time I just give them a quick pass on the steel. And I'm not going to do this at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to do this at about a 10 or a 20-degree angle. Do you see that angle off of the steel? And what I'm doing is I'm just, like I said, bringing the blade more to center. This is a pretty dull knife because I was cutting pineapples over the weekend, and I dulled all my knives because I was cutting a lot of pineapples, and I really dulled the knives. And I will say nothing dulls a knife like cutting pineapple or cantaloupe or something like that. So I'm just going to run this on the sharpening steel a couple times on each side, and then every time I cook, I try and do this. Now maybe once a quarter or once every other month, I will pull out the sharpening stone. Now you can see that this side is dark and it's rougher, trust me it is, and then this side is lighter, it's not as rough. And so it's just like a nail file or emery board, if you've ever used that. There's a rough side where you kind of rough up your nail, and then there's a soft side where you kind of finish the nail. The rule with filing your nails, don't go back and forth, and it's the same rule with our knives. We pick a direction and we stick with that direction, okay? So I use water on my sharpening, on my stone, lost my words. So I'm just gonna this is a little bit of water. I'm just going to put a little bit of water on. This is the rough side of the stone end. Again, not doing a 90-degree angle. I'm doing a 10-degree angle, maybe a 25, maybe a 20-degree angle. I'm going to pick one direction. I am not going to go back and forth because that will rough up the blade. What I'm trying to do is grind down the blade so that I can I'm going to grind it down on the rough side, and then I'm going to smooth it on the softer side, and I'm going to get a nice blade on this knife because it is dull and it's driving me crazy. So a little bit more water, one direction. I tend to pull towards me. I don't know why. It's just kind of what I do. Years and years ago, I worked on a fishing boat for the Hubbards out on Madeira Beach, and I learned to sharpen knives from the guys on the boat. When I was told I had to fillet the customer's fish, which, we made money doing it, but it was a lot of work, but you had to have a very, very sharp knife. Also, nothing dulls a knife like filleting fish, and so we had to sharpen knives every time we filleted customers' fish. We had to have really, really sharp knives, getting through those gills, getting through the skin, and sometimes hitting bone. So one direction, one direction, not back and forth. Do not go back and forth. Okay, that's one side of this knife. I'm going to flip it over, a little bit more water, and I'm going to go, again, one direction, not back and forth. About 10 degrees. If this is something that you don't want to do, you can take your knives to the Saturday morning market in St. Petersburg. There's usually a knife sharpening guy there. You can drop off your knives. While you shop, he'll do that work for you. Or you can take them to Ace Hardware. I know they have sharpening services at Ace Hardware for your kitchen knives, for any kind of knife, for your scissors, also for your gardening tools. They will sharpen them. So again, rough side, couple of passes, rough side. And then I'm gonna flip it over to the smooth side. Little bit of water. All right, ready? Same direction, same angle. Boom, boom. I've got a divot in here. This is my stone from when I worked on the fishing boat for the Hubbard back in the summer of 1994. Best summer of my life working on that boat. That was incredible experience. Okay, so and then the other side of the knife, 20 degrees, one direction, back. Okay, so and if I wipe this knife on this towel, I'll see a little bit of kind of gray, and that's also from the stone, but also from the knife. Okay, let's take a test. I have an apple. When I cut apples, I teach people to cut flat. So what I do is I tell people, let's get a flat surface on this apple, because it's hard to cut something, especially if you're not comfortable with knives or you're new to learning knives. Let's get a flat surface on everything we cut, and then you feel confident. Look, this is not rolling around. I have oh, there goes my light. Whoops. Well, forget it. I guess we won't have a light. Okay, and then so I'm going to cut down. I'm going to come down on it. Oh, that knife feels a lot better than it did before, because I cut an apple before, and that's how I knew. I said, oh, this thing needs to be cut. Look how easy that was. I've got 4 big chunks of apple, and now I can cut it. Again, I can turn it flat, turn flat, cut flat, people. That's how you feel safe when you cut. So, I thank you so much for listening to this video. My name is Wendy Wesley. I'm a registered and licensed dietitian nutritionist in St. Petersburg, Florida. And the best thing in your kitchen you will ever have, 2 things: sharp knife and a good sturdy wooden cutting board. Again, thank you so much for listening, and follow me for some more cooking and kitchen tips. Thank you.